So this is the self-development with tactics. Book.
So, this was gonna be about Elon Musk and Neuralink, or Neuralink, whatever. More after the intro as every day. And I'm pretty pumped, I'm pretty pumped, even though, I'm always kind of pandering, and I'm always kind of thinking if what I'm going through is actually relevant only for me, or if it is also relevant for other people. And this might be one of the articles that leads me to struggle the most, because Neuralink and Elon Musk's implementation of technology into our brains has been not such a recent thing. It was in 2019, so it is relatively recent, but it's not too recent. It has been just a thing quite a few months ago, so actually in July. Most of the articles that you can find are from July, and I gotta feel is this only something that I'm interested in, or is it also something that a lot of other people are interested in? Because I do not only want to go through something that I am interested in, I'm trying to provide value here. Before I actually go and start with this episode or start with the article, I do just really have to point out that this particular episode, that this video that you're just watching here is also available as a podcast, which means an audio only version, which means that you can just listen to it, which means that it is a way more efficient way, and maybe even a way more effective way as well if you're able to learn through listening way better than through watching. Then please go down in the description and check out the podcast, because it is really efficient, because when you're listening to something and when you're only listening to something, you first of all do not have to sit here for 30, 50, 60, maybe even 70 minutes. I don't know how long this episode's going to be or how long this episode's going to be. But sitting here for 30 minutes is really not effective or efficient, because when you're listening to something, you can do something simultaneously. You could be walking your dog, you could be playing with your daughter, you could be whatever. You could be doing so many different things. And it is also a pretty effective thing for your cellular data usage. Which means if you're on the go and if you're just on your mobile phone and you're watching this episode, then it's probably gonna cost you way more mobile data than if you would actually listen to the whole podcast experience. But just to let you know that there is more possibilities to listen to this or to consume this particular episode than just either the podcast and or the YouTube video, because for all the people that are on the podcast, please go down into the show notes, and there should also be the YouTube channel, and the episode should be called exactly the same way. At least it's normally the case. But let's see. There's nothing, that's always fine. So I found a few articles. We also go through the Neuralink site itself. It's a pretty great site, to be honest. It looks pretty nice, pretty futuristic and pretty new and pretty whatever, which you can expect maybe, and which you should expect maybe, but I don't know. And there's also other articles that I want to go through or just kind of talk about, because we're not going to go for them fully. We're not going to go through them fully. But so Elon Musk's Neuralink hopes to put sensors in human brains next year. The thing is, also one of the reasons why I'm going through this is that it's going to lead to other things. It's going to lead to education a little bit and about learning, and it's going to lead to learning a little bit, since the whole implementation of technology into our brains is definitely, I guess, going to change the way we are learning things and change the way we get educated, since it's going to change the whole learning process, But I think I actually have to lower this a little further, because I'm a little bit closer to the microphone this time, so that I'm actually able to... I should be a little bit less loud right now, or maybe even distorted, whatever. Maybe I should actually go down a little bit further. Yeah, this seems to be quite reasonable. I'm a little bit closer because I hope that this is going to make the audio a little bit better, since it's maybe also going to lower the amount of background noise you're hearing and whatnot. But yeah, is not the topic of today's video. Elon Musk's Neuralink hopes to put sensors in human brains next year. This is an article by Richard Lawyer from July 2019 and the 17th of July. While we waited for Neuralink to present the progress it's made over the last couple of years in brain-computer interface technology, the New York Times and Bloomberg published information from an early briefing, and it's stuff that's straight out of science fiction. The Elon Musk-backed company claims its sewing machine-like robot will be able to implement threads deep into a human brain. Which sounds pretty cool. Maybe even scary as well, but this depends on how you think about these things. But yeah, the results so far come from testing on lab rats implemented with as many as 1,500 electrodes, which everyone should be warned may or may not transfer smoothly to work on humans. If it does work, Neuralink says its intention for the technology at first is to do things like help amputees or restore their ability to see, talk and listen. Of course, as Elon Musk said previously, he believes that connecting our brains to computers will eventually be the only way to keep up with the progression of artificial intelligence. So while things may start here, the plan is for something much more powerful. My thoughts on that, I guess this might be true. Like, I'm really not that educated in this whole technology and future technology space, even though I'm really interested in it. And this is also one of the reasons why I'm actually going through this, because it is interesting to me and it is something interesting. But I don't know. The thing is, it is so futuristic. It really is so futuristic, and it's a little bit hard to believe and really hard to imagine as well. But it's probably going to be the case, because I definitely believe in what Elon Musk is saying, because he's definitely educated in this particular space, as you might know and you might imagine and you might see as well. But yeah, I really do hope that I'm able to just kind of experience that myself in my life, which is one of the major things why I'm so glad and grateful that I'm still so young. Like, I'm 18 years old, nearly 19. So I'm really young, and I'm hopefully going to be able to see a lot more things in my life. Like, unless I die, but I'm not assuming that, I'm not, I do not really think that I'm going to die just through accidents or some shit like that. I really hope, at least, because I do want to see stuff, I do want to see the flying cars, which might be coming. Who knows? Like, who really knows? The thing is, I think a lot of people doubt that, since it is actually something that's really futuristic and we don't know how to do that. Maybe because also of the amount of energy you would be using and the amount of fuel you would be using. But I don't know. Sometimes somebody comes up with something that then just works, and that's it. And it has often been the case for past times and for the history, I guess. And therefore, why not? Why really not? Like, it could really happen. Who knows? But I'm really interested in that as well. Like, I do think that, as I said before, it's going to revolutionize the way we learn things and education is working. Because the thing is, if we're having a computer in our fucking brain, that lets us maybe even scan whole pages and memorize whole pages in an instant, which could definitely be the case. Who says that it's not going to be the case? We can also store things in our computer and they just remember it. So why wouldn't we be able to remember it as well? Which then would, I don't know, I think it would definitely revolutionize the way we teach kids and or teenagers and or people in university. Even though I gotta have to say, maybe it should also be the case right now, because why should we memorize things? Why should we memorize dates, people's names, unless it is actually important for looking it up? Because the thing is, why should we memorize things when we're actually able to look them up on the internet, on Google? I do get, all the other people or the side or the other side of people that say, like, okay, we should memorize these things because it's like, okay, knowledge and because it's important and whatnot. But I gotta say that this is also something that Seth Godin was talking about on the podcast. I would say multiple times, not really once or twice. But he said that it is really important to know what to look up. And I gotta have to say that this is actually particularly right, because memorizing things might not be really good, and might not be really smart, since we're able to look up things. The problem is, when you don't know what to look up, then you're fucked. Therefore, learning what you should be looking up is pretty crucial, because when you know what you're looking up or what you should be looking up, then you're also really able to just get knowledge and see things and whatever. And on the other hand, it is really the case that if you really are interested in something, then you're also going to memorize things, first of all, way quicker, and second of all, you're gonna memorize things. Because, I don't know, you probably have had that in school as well, there are some subjects that you really are not interested in, and therefore it's going to be a pretty hard time for you to learn those things just because it is not interesting to you. But if something is interesting to you, then it is, first of all, a pleasure to learn those things and to kind of get the knowledge. But it is also just going to be faster, because you're interested and it is something that you like to do. But yeah, something that I've actually seen myself and I've experienced it myself is that I sometimes didn't know what to look up. And this is then just pretty fucked, when I need to look something up, but I don't know what I should be looking up. Then I'm really fucked, because then I'm not able to do anything else, unless I'm consulting somebody that is really knowledgeable in this certain area, whether it be a teacher or a professor or whatever. But yeah, you might have experienced that as well, down in the comments, if you've actually had that as well. Because I assume that, I'm not really the only person that had that, that had that problem of just having to know something but didn't know what to look up. But yeah, let's move ahead. One big reveal is that it hopes to begin working on human subjects as soon as the second quarter of next year. In the picture above that was showing during the presentation, that small protrusion at the bottom right with the arrow pointing to it is the size of the thread that it actually hopes to implement. What the fuck, for all the YouTube viewers, now you're having a picture, this is actually kind of the benefit of watching the video, you're gonna have pictures, you're gonna have things. What the fuck? It actually looks like Starship, their new rocket, some sort of. But yeah. According to the article, its bundles of flexible threads are about 1/4 the diameter of a human hair, implemented using needles to avoid blood vessels on a brain surface. Then the embedded, I always had issues with actually pronouncing that, embedded sensors capture information and send it to a receiver. The chip above on the surface of the skull, from there it transmits wirelessly. Elon Musk said it could Bluetooth the information to your skull. Right now, implementation requires drilling holes, but researchers hope in the future that they can use lasers to avoid unpleasant vibration. Because I guess if you're actually drilling a hole into your skull, that first of all, the vibration that they're also talking about might be really unpleasant and might also be really dangerous, because I don't know. I do assume, I'm not educated in that space, but I do assume that the brain is actually a pretty sensitive area. It's not really funny to kind of go around there and then just do something and drill holes into it and just play with your brain and whatnot. I do assume that this is actually something relatively dangerous and also relatively unpleasant or unpleasant, and something that a lot of people, or that might feel a little bit strange. And that might even hurt you as well. Through the vibration, I can also kind of think of that it might also hurt your brain in terms of actually destroying something. Not really hurt in terms of pain, which might definitely also be the case, but it's also gonna fuck something. I'm actually having to turn down the volume actually a little bit even more, since I'm so close to the microphone, which I hope is actually going to make the quality way better. Because there's no space for any additional sounds to get in. But actually, I have to actually turn it down really a lot, so that even when I'm shouting, that I'm able to kind of sustain a decent amount of. I'm at minus 4.2 dB at this point in time, and I've actually been way too loud, I guess, before. But I guess it's okay right now. I do hope that I haven't fucked the whole episode by doing this, but I guess it's okay. I guess it should be okay. Let's see. Let's see, and let's go ahead and let's see if there is something else. Something even more interesting. Blah 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 blah. Bluetooth unpleasant vibration. The pod itself is worn behind the ear with the wireless battery and other hardware in there. Whether or not this can work in humans is again still unproven, and also whether or not the wires can hold up over time. Whenever tonight's event at the California Academy of Science actually begins, hopefully we'll find out few more answers. You can watch the live stream embedded below. According to Musk, its current version 1 is 4x4mm chip is capable of 10,000 electrodes with read and write capability, which he says is more than 1,000 times the number of the best deep brain interface currently available for Parkinson treatment. Neuralink president Max Hodek, which is actually also one of the co-founders as far as I know, went on to explain why it is emitting sensors directly into the brain but not in neurons. Simply, it's the only way to send and receive the information necessary from spikes of activity. And neurosurgeon is also part of the presentation, showing off some videos of the implantation technology and how its robot can instill thousands of wires directly into the brain while avoiding tissues damage and bleeding. I'm very sorry that I may sound a little bit nasal or nasal. Don't know what it is called. Never mind. Eventually, they would like to do it without shaving the patient's head, although he acknowledges that the first operations will be more like current deep brain implants. So high risk, I guess. High risk, high reward, isn't it? Further presentations explained even more about how all the technology works, and a paper will be released shortly with more data and what they have achieved so far. One note Musk's revealed during a Q&A session is that a monkey has been able to control the computer with its brain in response to a query about animal testing and the results so far. Less surprising is his assertion that two people with the implements could use them to communicate telepathically, which is amazing. Once the technology is working two ways in the brain, that's about how we would expect it to work. But yeah. So this is actually the Entrepreneur Europe article, or this was the Entrepreneur Europe article. Everything is, as always, linked down in the description and also down in the show notes if you're on the podcast. But here's the Neuralink site, yeah. Hello world, we're excited to share what we have been working on for the last 2 years. And this was actually posted on Tuesday, July the 16th at 8 p.m. PST. Which is actually quite some time till then. But yeah, join Neuralink. Watch the live stream, read the paper. There's actually a paper that they have somehow shared. It is not really long, but I'm still going to read it because there might be even more information in there. Brain-machine interfaces, which is BMIs, hold promise to the restoration of sensory and motor function and the treatment of neurological disorders. But clinical BMIs have not yet been widely adopted, in part because modest channel counts have limited their potential. In this white paper, we describe Neuralink's first step towards a scalable, high-bandwidth BMI system. We have built arrays of small and flexible electrode threads, so the electrodes are called threads, which as many as 3,072 electrodes per area distributed across 96 threads. We have also built a neurosurgical robot capable of inserting 6 threads, which is 192 electrodes per minute. Each thread can be individually inserted into the brain with micron precision for avoidance of surface vasculature and targeting specific brain regions. The electrode array is packed into a small implantable device that contains custom chips for low power onboard amplification and digitization. The package for 3072 channels occupies less than 23 times 18.5 times 2 millimeter per volume. So just factored by 3, I guess. No, it's not a factor. Never mind. A single USB-C cable provides full bandwidth data streaming from the device, recording from all channels simultaneously. This system has achieved a spiking yield of up to 85.5% in chronically implemented electrodes. Neuralink's approach to BMI has unprecedented packaging density and scalability in clinically relevant package. And it is also copyrighted and whatnot. But the font they've been using for this copyright thing is really fucking shit. I don't like it. But yeah, it is what it is. Let's not talk about the font they're using. But actually what they're doing. And what they're doing is, I think, really amazing. Since, and this is actually what strikes out for me the most, they were able to kind of give sight to people that are blind. Even though it is only going to be able for people that actually are blind because of some brain damage and something that hasn't something to do with their eyes, I guess. Unless they are also able to kind of, then in the future, of course, unless they're then actually also able to kind of make eyes out of your own tissue and out of your own stem cells, for example, which might even be working, Who knows? Who really knows? There's also an article by TechCrunch, but this is from July the 17th, 2019, and I would argue that it is not particularly right, because it says, for example, on the really bottom, as I'm going to show you, Elon Musk is bankrolling the majority of its endeavor as well as acting as its CEO. But according to the Wikipedia page of Neuralink, it's actually Neuralink. It's not Neuralink. But never mind. So according to the Wikipedia page, the CEO is Jared Birchall, and the president is Max Hodek. The owner, though, is Elon Musk. I'm sorry. So Elon Musk is actually not having a particularly high position inside of the company besides actually owning it, since he actually put the most money into it. But the funny thing is that it was founded by a bunch of people, actually quite a lot of people, but I'm searching for this little list and or line where they talk about. So Neuralink was founded in 2016 by Elon Musk, Ben Rappaport, Dong-Shin Zhao, Max Hodek, Paul Merola, Philip Sapes, Tim Gardner, Tim Hansen, and Vanessa Toulouse, whatever. So it's actually funded by quite a lot of people, and the funny thing is that still Elon Musk puts the most money into the whole machine, which is pretty funny. Like the other ones put 58 million into it, which is also quite something. Like, please don't get me wrong here, but yeah. But yeah, it's not that much as Elon put into it. But yeah, so I'm going to link down the entrepreneur article, I'm going to link down the Wikipedia page, and I think also the Neuralink site itself and the paper. But I'm not going to link down the TechCrunch article. Still, I do want to see what TechCrunch is all about at this point in time, since TechCrunch, is actually a pretty great site. It's a pretty great site to be on. But yeah, not seeing something interesting. Therefore, we are going through some Quora questions, as so often and as every day, just because the Quora questions are pretty nice. So let's see. Let's see if we can find something. Let's see if we can find something that we can be answering. Another question. How do hardworking people look at lazy people? Would I consider myself hardworking? I'm not quite sure. I wouldn't somehow necessarily say so, since I'm actually also having a lot of leisure time. I'm really having a lot of leisure time, but I might be having less leisure time as a lot of other people. Unless you actually count recording the podcast and producing the content, since it is actually something that I like to do as my leisure time. But if not, then I'm not really having a lot of leisure time. But I don't know, first of all, definitely comes up to the person you're talking to. There's definitely going to be some people that are hardworking and are going to be like, I hate those lazy people fucking much. whatever. And there's also going to be some really hardworking people that just do understand those lazy people, because being lazy is actually pretty nice, laying around all day long wouldn't be something that I necessarily would like to have. But I don't know, not having to do so much, especially for school, would also be pretty nice, because then I would actually be able to really focus on a podcast, with all my attention, even though it could also be the case that it wouldn't necessarily make me happier, since I like to do multiple things, and since I find it pretty nice if I'm able to do multiple things, because it's going to be boring, it's going to make me feel bored if I'm just doing the exact same thing my whole life long, I guess. It wouldn't be necessarily something that I would like to do. But yeah, how long should deep sleep cycles last? This is something that I don't know, since I'm not really educated in the sleep space. I am a little bit, but not such deeply. And the last one is that I'm seeing there, what are some tips that can help you fall asleep? I've been talking about it for so many times. Like there are whole episodes on me going through a really, really good book on sleep, which is Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. Even though he argues that it's really, really unhealthy if you're not getting your 8 hours of sleep. And I would say that this is maybe not particularly right, since, I don't know, like on some days you're going to feel bad. So if you're not having your 8 hours of sleep, and some days it's really going to be okay if you're not having your 8 hours of sleep. But yeah, we could really, debate about that. We could. I wouldn't like to, but we could. But yeah. So having a relatively cold room is one of the most important things in my point of view. Like being in a really hot room is not going to let you fall asleep really fast. Then not so much looking into your devices because of the blue light. Then caffeine, alcohol, just really keeping attention to the consumption of those things. Then something else, maybe having a good mattress, having a nice place to sleep. It's gonna be just cozy and warm, and so warm enough. So I do not want to let you be in a room that is ice cold and you're gonna die if you're in it. It's also not what you should be doing. But yeah. So this is my maybe even some sound machine next to you. So like some white noise sound machine, or brown noise sound machine, or gray noise sound machine, or pink noise sound machine, something like that. This might also help you fall asleep a little bit faster. But I guess this is actually going to be the end of the episode. I do hope that you've liked it. I do hope that the audio is a little bit better, and maybe even a little bit different. I do hope also for the YouTube listeners and the watchers that the whole setup is not a little bit disturbing, since you're not really able to see my whole face. Might be bad, might be shitty, might be not so cool. I might be also doing it the other way again, so like this actually, because it also works, but I would have to actually put up this again a little bit so that you're able to hear me as loud as possible and whatnot. So this is actually, I do feel that this is a little bit better, because you can see my whole face. But I don't know, when the audio quality on the other thing is just way better, then why not? Like, then it is just arguable, to actually do that. But yeah, I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself how you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, because we can definitely just be nice people and then be remembered as nice people. The only problem there is that there are 7.7 billion people on this planet, and not 7.7 billion people are going to like you or love you. There are going to be people that hate you or dislike you or both and whatnot. But yeah, 3 other things that I hope that you're going to ask yourself are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? Since those 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, because a lot of people and or companies actually started with finding a solution for a particular problem that really pissed them off. But yeah, I'm gonna see you the next time. I at least hope.